Good morning and welcome to Double G Sports Talk Saturday on your PrimetimeSports.com. Another edition here on YPTS. I'm Dave Grimm, and I'm flying solo again today. Solo that hopefully no one will see me. That's why I try to keep her under the radar. The empty seat next to me, I'm not going to do a Clint Eastwood empty chair bit, but this is where Clifton would normally be sitting, but he is out doing photographs for Pee Wee football and all sorts of other things, so he's not going to be with us today. We do have guests coming in today. We've already had one guest who has let us know that he's not going to be able to make it in today, and that's Coach Conaway. He's not going to be able to make it with us today, so we're going to have three guests today. We're going to have Coach Branum, Tim Branum from Paragould High School. We're going to have Bruce Guthrie from the Paragould Daily Press, and we're going to have Libby Glasco from Nirvana Yoga. And that's our slate of guests. We're going to try and stretch them out over the next couple of hours till 10:30. Right now, though, 5A East football, week 2 of conference play, week 5 overall, happened last night. We brought you the Greene County Tech and Wynne football game, and that one was pretty much what everybody thought it was going to be. Wynne ended up winning 48-14. They had a 48-0 halftime lead and didn't score any at all in the mercy rule shortened second half. And that's when, excuse me, I apologize. That's when Greene County Tech was able to score in the second half. So the final score on that one was 48-14. That was a game that we were going to talk about with Coach Conaway, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to make it in today. The other conference games that were happening last night, the Nettleton and Blytheville game. And this game happened at Nettleton. Blytheville coming off a stinger of a loss the week before to the Wynne Yellowjackets, 43-0. And Nettleton the week before had lost to Batesville, 38-12. So it was a close game, 12-7. Blytheville goes into Nettleton and gets the job done, 12-7. The Blytheville Chickasaws win that one. Forrest City traveled to, or actually they hosted the Beebe Badgers last night. Forrest City all over Beebe. It's official, Beebe is down this year. They have not won a game. They're 0-5. They are 0-2 in conference play, and Forrest City put it on them last night, 51-7. Biggest victory last night in the conference, biggest point deficit in the conference last night. And then the other game was Paragould and Batesville, played right here over my left shoulder, over here on the Paragould turf. And that game was close at times. In fact, at one time, Paragould almost poked it in and made the score 21-14. But they couldn't get the job done on that drive. And that's something we'll probably talk to Coach Branum about. He's coming in the door now. The score finally ended up being 38-6, Batesville over Paragould last night. So we'll get a chance to talk to Coach Branum about that shortly. I will tell you who's playing the games next week in week 3 of conference play, week 6 overall. Forrest City is traveling to Batesville. Beebe will host Wynne. That one's going to be a that's going to be a game that only the Wynne folks will love, I promise. Blytheville travels to Greene County Tech, and Forrest City goes to Batesville. I already said that, didn't I? Forrest City goes to Batesville. Oh, it's Paragould. They will be going to Nettleton, and that's the game that we will have right here on your PrimetimeSports.com this coming Friday night. Paragould at Nettleton. So, our first guest has arrived. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Coach Tim Branum, the head coach of the Paragould Rams, right here on your PrimetimeSports.com. Welcome back to your PrimetimeSports.com. I'm Dave Grimm. Sitting in here solo today. Clifton Garmrath is out and about, so you're stuck with me. And our first guest today is the head coach of the Paragould Rams football team, Coach Tim Branum, sitting in with us. Well, we haven't seen you in a while. Good to have you back.
Thanks.
And lots of stuff to go over with you since the last time we talked to you. the big win. I want to talk about this first, and I want to get straight from the horse's mouth. The big win at Beebe last week, and I call that a signature win for you guys, a program-building win. I said that on the air. Do you feel the same way, Coach?
Well, it's obviously a big win for our kids. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say it was a program-changing win at this point. It's a team that has pretty much dominated us the last couple of years, and to go to their place and be able to basically control the football game for the most part. It's a big win for our kids, one they deserved and one they worked hard for, and it's a big win. But just it by itself, I think you've got to follow it up with some others to really say it's a program changer.
Now, Dylan Hoggard in that game, 4 touchdowns, all from him. Obviously, you got to be pleased with his performance so far.
Yeah, Dylan, and Dylan's only a sophomore, and sometimes people forget that because he looks like he could be a senior. But Dylan's an awfully good football player, and he's pretty much carried us through the first 4 games offensively, and he's just got a bright future ahead of him.
Is there any other things that you would like to focus on that were a key in the victory at Beebe? It was a week ago last night.
Well, Michael Stidham had a big game. He was 9 for 11, I think. Made some big plays in the passing game, and we had a couple of drops, or he would have been 11 for 11. So Michael's had a big game, and Mike's been off and on a little bit, and he's got to step up and be and be able to help us in the passing game and take some pressure off of Dylan. Dexter Thompson's had a big year, and our offensive line, our 3 seniors, or basically our 4 seniors, Tyler Heston, Aaron Wilkins, Chris Moss, and Caleb Corner have been huge in our offensive success.
Now, he had a favorite receiver the other night, and his name has gone out of my head. Thompson. Did you just say Dexter Thompson?
Yes,
yeah.
Dexter Thompson.
He was catching everything that was thrown at him.
Yeah, Dexter's a senior, and Dexter's got great hands, runs good routes, and matter of fact, had a touchdown catch, a great catch in our game against Batesville last night. Had a big catch. So Dexter's a kid. He's our go-to guy in the passing game. There's no doubt.
Now, we were getting updates on your game last night while we were down broadcasting, and when we were having some updates sent to us on that game. And at one time, it was 21-6 in that game, and you guys had picked off the ball and were threatening to score and make it a 8 or 7 point game. You guys lined up against Batesville, and Batesville's a tough team, but you got them on your home field, and you're about to poke it in on them again. That's got to give your team, when you're that close with a team like that, that's got to give your team confidence.
Well, it certainly would have helped if we could have punched it in. They held us on downs inside the 5, but when you look at the game and the whole context of the game, Batesville offensively had pretty much dominated us. They scored the first 3 times they had the football. We get them on a couple of little tricky plays, and Dexter makes a great catch to make it 21-6, and then we kick them down, pin them inside the 20, and Dalton West made a great interception on the first. They try to throw it on first down. He picks it off. So we get a pass interference call to get us inside the 5, and so. Make no mistake, I don't think Batesville was by any means panicking because they had pretty much dominated us on both sides of the ball on the line of scrimmage. And, obviously you never know what's going to happen. And if you score right there and make it a 7-point game, and then you maybe get another turnover and something happens crazy, and then you're back in the game. But, Batesville was a better football team. There's no doubt about that because they dominated us on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I wasn't there last night, but I would like to know if Stidham was still as accurate passing last night. Did that carry over from Beebe to last night's game?
Mike made some good throws, but he missed a couple, and to his credit, people in his face, and the pass rush was a little different, and the speed of the game, and their defensive backs were a little better, and so all that plays into it. But pretty much, the ball game came down to both lines of scrimmage, and they were the better team on both sides.
Okay, so and there's been a slight personnel change. We won't go into too much detail, but you do have a personnel change on your roster as well. There's a player that's no longer on the roster.
Yeah, D'Angelo Rice has been dismissed from the football team, and I don't know how many people know anything about D'Angelo, but D'Angelo was a big part of our team and awfully good running back. But what a lot of people understand is he's a really good blocker from that spot too. So that'll hurt us, but those things happen to you. When you're dealing with 16, 17-year-old kids and you're dealing with a bunch of them, they're going to make some bad decisions, and we feel like we have exhausted everything we know to do, and so at this point we'll be without him for the rest of the season, and Jordan Sayer will step in there, and hopefully Jordan will do a great job.
Well, and we saw some positive things from Sayer when we broadcasted your game at Beebe as well, so hopefully he'll be able to take that spot and make it his own. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Coach about Nettleton. That's the game that we are going to be at this Friday, live on your Primetime Sports, Paragould at Nettleton. This is the guy to talk to about that. We'll do it when we come back on yourprimetimesports.com. All right, welcome back to yourprimetimesports.com. It's Double G Sports Talk Saturday here on a Saturday morning at Batten's Donuts and Bakery. This is where we usually are on Saturday mornings, starting at 8:30. And I am currently talking to the Paragould head coach. That is Tim Branum. And we've talked about the last couple of games they have played. And now what we're going to do is talk about the game we've got coming up on your Primetime Sports this Friday night. It's Paragould at Nettleton. Ought to be a great game. Two teams, I think, that are pretty evenly matched, but what do you think, Coach?
Well, it's at this point, early Saturday morning, besides seeing them a little bit in our film trade with Batesville, and just kind of watching them, not from a breaking them down standpoint, but from breaking Batesville down, but Nettleton being the opponent they were playing. Looked very athletic. Got a couple of kids that really impressed us with the way they can run, and had a couple of long runs against Batesville. And really in that Batesville game, a lot closer football game than the final score. So I was a little surprised by the score from last night, but I think Nettleton's got an awfully good football team. It'll be a big challenge for us.
Now, I don't know. Let's see. You guys haven't had really any common opponents yet to this point.
Valley View.
Valley View. You both played Valley View.
Yeah.
And they had a knockdown drag-out with Valley View. Do you think that, I mean, do you guys ever do that? Do you go back and look at the common opponents and see if how that shakes up compared to you guys?
Well, over 30 years of doing this, I think our kids do it a lot, but as coaches, we don't really put a lot of stock in that, because really if you look at comparisons and you start comparing scores, you get into real problems, because it's all about matchups and how you match up against certain people, and I don't think you get a real feel for any team by comparing scores.
Well, we're going to be doing something. We started this last night. We're doing something new. We have a sideline reporter, and so maybe at halftime of the game next week, we're going to sit and track you down and talk to you a little bit on the sideline if you feel like it. We don't want.
That's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
We know sometimes when you try to track down a coach and they've got one thing and one thing on their mind only, that sometimes it's not a good idea. But that's what we'll talk to you about it ahead of time. We might send a guy your way at halftime next week.
That's fine. No problem.
We're looking forward to the game. I hope you guys are too. You guys, again, and I've been telling people this, you guys have a shot at the playoffs. The talent level that y'all have and the opponents that you still have yet to come, we see Paragould as having a shot at the playoffs.
Well, it's way too early for that, and you gotta win a couple more games before you can talk about that. But hopefully our kids will rebound. We'll try to put this one behind us and move on.
All right, that's Coach Tim Branum from Paragould High School. We're going to take a 2-minute break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Coach Mack Skelton, the assistant head coach of the Greene County Tech Eagles, on yourprimetimesports.com. All right, welcome back to yourprimetimesports.com. We have guest number 2 on with us right now. It is the assistant head coach and defensive coordinator of the Greene County Tech Eagles, Coach Mack Skelton. Thanks for coming in this morning. 2 weeks in a row we've had you.
Hey, I'm becoming an overnight celebrity.
Overnight celebrity. Well, I don't know if that's a good thing in Paragould. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Now, we were at your game last night. There's not much you can say about a game Well, I mean, Wynne is just so dominant. 48-0 at halftime, ended up being 48-14. What do you tell the guys after a game like that?
Well, it's a difficult situation because a lot of the times kids want to get really down on themselves, and I'm not one for going in and having some type of moral victory or whatever. We lost that game. They were a better team last night. Number 3 in the state. They have a great coaching staff, a great group of athletes, and that's kind of the way it goes sometimes. As far as what we told them last night, you got to keep your head up. We're still, in a situation where we can reach our goal of making the playoffs. But we've got all that to do. We've got to get better, and we've got to go out and put together a plan for Blytheville coming in next week, and just play as hard as we possibly can.
Now, you guys you had to know going in, Wynne is a very tough team, number 3 in the state. They've dominated everybody they've played to that point. Was it difficult even getting the team up for that game? I mean, trying to get them fired up to go in there and try and do some good against a powerful team like Wynne? Not
at all. Our kids are motivated. They're self-motivated, most importantly. They want to go out and win. They don't go into any game with a mindset of, well, we're just, they're just better and we're going to go out there and play. No, we want to win. And the coaching staff's the exact same way. We don't ever go into a game thinking, well, hey, we're playing the number 3 team in the state. Hey, Chris Hill's a great coach and that type of deal. Well, we just go out and compete and do the best we can. No, we go out to win the game. And it just so happens, they were better than us, but that's why you play the game. But as far as that goes, our kids are always fired up. They always go out with the mindset that we can beat the team that we're playing. So it's not a situation where they just say, hey, let's go compete.
Now, there were a couple of bright spots last night for you guys there in the second half. You had Travis Ryan run one back 80 yards. Mm-hmm. Well, it was a play from scrimmage. He ran 80 yards the other way in one play. And then you had the touchdown pass to Matheny. Those are, Travis Ryan, anyway, has been pretty much a go-to guy all season long, but we didn't see near as much of him last night. Is he still affected by that injury that he got last week?
No, I think that he's back to 100%. We've been in a rut, offensively and defensively, as you can tell by the past 2 games. That's just something we've got to get out of. But we did some really good things last night. There in the first half, defensively. The score obviously doesn't show it, but we came out and we made some good plays, but we gave up some big plays as well.
Yeah, most of the scoring by Wynne last night was on big plays.
Oh, there's big plays, yeah, no doubt. And we came out, scheme-wise with the mindset that they were going to try to throw the ball a lot on us. And try to put in something to defend against that, and instead of going to the deep ball like Forrest City went on us, they were throwing a lot of short stuff and throwing it out in the flats and bubbles and tunnels, as they do as well and do so well, and we still gave up big plays on those short things. So, it's a situation where we're almost with a team like that can do so many good things with the great athletes and the experienced athletes that they have, that you kind of got to pick your poison and mix it up well enough to try to have a chance at the end of the game with a team like that. And once again, it just didn't work out in our favor last night.
let's talk about defense, because the games that you guys have had so far, people are hanging some big numbers up. Jonesboro hung up 60 and had nearly 50 last night, and in the 40s against Highland, and I mean they're scoring a lot of points on this defense.
Right.
At this point, halfway through the season, are there any changes that can be made that would shore that defense up, or is it a personnel issue?
Well, I think that there are several things. First off, we've given up an average of about 29 points defensively, and that number went up last night, obviously. But in the Jonesboro game, 28 of those points that we gave up were special teams.
Right.
And it's a situation to where sometimes the overall score is deceiving about how well we're playing defensively. But at the same time, we are still giving up 29 points a game, and that's one of the things that I constantly try to tell our kids, because, you can get into a situation to where these guys are going to start pointing the finger and saying, well, the offense needs to do this, or the special teams need to do this, or the defense needs to do this. And all in all, when you look at it, it's a total team effort. A lot of the times, if you're talking about defensively, if you get put into a situation to where you're defending a half of a field or a quarter of the field, numbers can get put up pretty quickly as far as the score is concerned. But all in all, we've just got to do a better job of tackling. I've always been told coming up as a player and a coach, the game's really simple. If you can block and you can tackle, you're going to have a lot of success, and we're not doing those two things very well right now. But that's what we've got to do as coaches, is we've got to get in there and put a plan together, and to try to develop our kids week by week, and just continue to get better. Once again, I said this last week, nobody's hitting the panic button and saying, well, we've got to completely transform everything that we do. We're going to still continue to do what we do, and we're going to try to get better at what we do. That's the biggest thing. Some people may say, well, what you're doing right now is you're losing, but, that's part of the game sometimes. I mean, sometimes you lose the game even though you're doing every single thing that you can do.
There are very, very few teams in the world that win every single game they play.
Yeah, and that's true, and we're at a point right now to where I sincerely feel like our players are bought in and doing every single thing in their power to win ball games. And it just hasn't went in our favor right now. We're a one-win ball club right now. That's really close on the brink of winning some big games. But we've got all that to do, and we've got to keep our focus, and we've got to keep our intensity levels up, and not dwell on the bad things that have happened so far, and move on as a football team.
All right, when we come back from a break, we're going to talk Blytheville Chickasaws. That's their next opponent. It's on the road, and we're going to talk to Coach Skelton about those guys when we come back on YourPrimetimeSports.com. Welcome back to YourPrimetimeSports.com, affectionately known as YPTS TV. We are live from Batten's Donuts and Bakery. Boy, this place filled up a while ago. It was the drive-thru that was seeing all the action. Now it's completely full. And we are talking to Coach Mack Skelton of the Greene County Tech Eagles. He's the assistant head coach, and he's the defensive coordinator. We had Coach Conaway scheduled to come in. He could not make it, so he sent his number one guy, who was here with us last week. Are you the number one guy?
I guess so.
The number one guy. This is Coach Mack Skelton. And now we're going to talk about the Blytheville Chickasaws. You guys are going to be playing them on the road Friday, trying to get that first conference win. Blytheville is down this year. They're a young team. They're running a completely new system under a completely new coach. They would seem to be ripe for the picking.
Well, actually, we're playing them at home for homecoming.
Oh, it's a home game.
Yeah, it's actually here.
I kept saying road game. I was wrong.
No, that's okay. They but as you said, they're they're pretty as far as coaching wise. They got a new guy in there, Coach McCroskey, and I think he's doing a heck of a job with them. And I don't know that ripe for the picking would be the word that I would use for that team.
Well,
they're a very dangerous team.
We had Coach McCroskey on
a
couple of weeks ago, and if I had said that in front of him, he would say the same thing you just said.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of people would sit there and say, well, ripe for the picking. Greene County Tech may be ripe for the picking as well. In some people's views. But I think that Coach McCroskey is he's taken a group that has in the past few years been down, and watching them on film, they're pretty dangerous. They move the ball really well on Wynne, ran it really well, and after seeing Wynne in person, that's a feat, because Wynne's defense is pretty good.
Well, yeah, and in their defense, they also moved the ball well for a half against West Memphis on the Blytheville home field there before Lightning decided that the game would be over.
Right.
And we had that game live on your Primetime Sports, and they were holding their own against a 6A powerhouse.
Yeah. West Memphis is always good. But Blytheville, once again, they have some really talented athletes. I think that that Coach McCroskey has taken them back to grinding the football. I think that what they do is sound. Watching them on film, but they're really dangerous, and they're a team that we've got to really focus in on and do the things that we need to do fundamentally to win the football game. One of the things that we're really going to have to focus on is that tight end and wing set that they run. They come out in a few different formations, but most of the time they're in a double wing or a double wing open with their split end out, and they try to run it. And their goal is to run the football and to manage and have good clock management. So we've got to get out there and do things fundamentally sound, tackling those athletes out in space once they get there, and try not to get outflanked and let them get numbers to wherever they're trying to run the ball. But as far as being a pushover game, we don't have a pushover game in our conference schedule this year. If we don't do things right, we can be beat by anyone. But on the same token, the rest of our conference schedule is the exact same way. Anybody can be beaten. And there's never a point once again that I'll tell a group of kids, hey, we've got to do this and do that and play perfect to go out there and win a game. But on the same token, we can't have a bad game and go out and expect to beat people. So it's really a deal to where anybody in our conference can be beaten on any given Friday night, just like any other conference. But we've got to play sound to go out there and win this game.
Now, an argument can be made that in the 5A East Conference, you guys have already seen the fastest two teams in the conference in the first 2 weeks of conference play, Forrest City and then Wynne. Mm-hmm. Is that the way you guys look at it as well? Do you think that you've seen the speediest teams already, and from this point forward, speed will be less of a factor in the opponents that you will face?
Well, I don't. We kind of take it week by week. But if you can show me two faster or a faster team than the two teams that we've played, I would be really surprised. But on the same token, our conference is pretty athletic. Wynne is one of the best teams that I've seen. I know probably they're the best team that I've coached against, and that's saying a lot. The Jonesboro team we faced earlier in the year was really good. And their record shows that. They beat a good Little Rock Central team last night. They've beat West Memphis, but I mean, in all honesty, Wynne is probably the best team we've played this year. Now, is there anybody in my mind that's going to be more athletic and better than them in our conference? I'm not sure that's possible.
I don't think so either.
They're really good. But teams can sneak up on you, and we don't want to be put in a situation to where we're saying, well, we've seen the best of the best, and now it's a downhill slope, because it's not. We've got to go out and battle, and we've got to go out and start doing things right. Start tackling, start blocking, being sound on special teams. And I feel like, I keep a positive outlook, and I feel like we're going to do those things. But we've got all that to do. We've got to come out as a coaching staff, and we've got to come out as a football team and get better and continue to try to reach that goal of making the playoffs.
Well, we appreciate having you in today for Coach Conaway, and you're always welcome to come in.
Hey, I appreciate it.
In fact, if you and Conaway wanted to be on at the same time, that would be cool.
That might get ugly.
That may be the Conaway and Skelton show, and me and Clifton will just step back and let you guys have it for a while.
I tell you what, we can definitely put on a show of some kind.
We may do that sometime. We may do that. We may wait till basketball season so you got less on your mind and let you guys take it and run with it for a little while.
All right.
That's Coach Mack Skelton, the assistant head coach of the Greene County Tech Eagles, coming in and sitting in with us for a little while this morning. We've still got half the show to go. Our next guest is sitting in the building and will be with me live in about 5 minutes on YourPrimetimeSports.com. All right, welcome back to YourPrimetimeSports.com. I am Dave Grimm, one of the G's in the Double G Sports Talk Saturday. The other G is Clifton Garmrath, not here today. But I've got his equal as far as hairline is concerned. Bruce Guthrie!
I'm Clifton's equal in lots of other areas besides hairline.
Okay.
But you know what? You're just jealous that you can't pull this off.
I'm jealous. Okay.
You are jealous that you can't pull this off.
This is Bruce Guthrie from the Paragould Daily Press, but we go back way further
a little too far.
Yeah, we 1989. Henderson State University freshman and an OBU, Ouachita Baptist University freshman.
Yes.
In the radio department of Henderson State University, because OBU didn't have a radio department.
And that's right. You see, that was a mutual agreement back at that time. I think it still exists.
They're still doing it. Yeah,
TV, if you wanted to be in TV and you were a Henderson student, you go to OBU. You want to do radio or radio practicum, which I did. I went to Henderson State.
And so that's where two ugly little 18-year-olds met, and
it was not
20. How many? Let's see, 1989. So it's almost 25 years. Not quite 25
almost,
years.
Yeah, it's about 23 at this point.
Yeah, and now he's from this area originally. Yes. I'm from the Hot Springs and Bismarck area, so this is, completely random that 25 years later, a guy from this area would come back, and we went to college together so long ago.
Well, and what's even more random and crazy is that I stayed there. You came here.
And I came here. I married a girl from up here.
Right.
And then one day I woke up in the trunk of a car. And, let me out. And when I was let out, here I was.
So you're an Alan Jackson song.
That's it. I'm in love with you, baby, and I don't even know your name. Yeah, that's it. No, I did marry a Paragould girl. She did not Shanghai me to Paragould. We decided to move here. I tell people that because it's a funny joke.
It is a funny joke.
Yeah. So you are now at the Paragould Daily Press. By the way, I made a phone call. I said, hire my guy, and they did. Here he is.
Well, and the fact that somebody would obey you, number one, take
your
advice.
Listen to you is phenomenal.
Number two, and it resulted in hiring me. You just got to wonder where
the clouds and planets and everything were aligned that day,
or just totally whopper jawed.
I know,
which is a word up here. Whopper jawed is a word.
Yeah, look it up. They have a Paragould dictionary or a Northeast Arkansas dictionary.
Right, whopper jawed is in there.
It's in there.
Yeah.
How you liking the gig?
Man, the gig is great. I've been doing sports writing and sports things on and off for about the last 10, 12 years, and this thing right here, you can't go wrong when you get to go watch kids play sports and you get paid for it. You just can't go wrong, and you get to deal with people like a Jeff Conaway or a Branum and guys that are out there good guys that are coaching, working their tails off, trying to get these kids in. And it's cliche, but it's true. I mean, they're promoting kids. They're getting them on the right tracks. They're doing the right things. And it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch and be a part of.
And you haven't even gotten to basketball season.
No, I haven't. No.
Because you've got 2 other schools in this county that are in your coverage area.
That's right.
That don't play football, but they do play basketball.
Crowley's Ridge Academy and Marmaduke, and I am ready for basketball.
And
season.
Plus, you've got a college here in
right.
town that plays,
which I have not had
basketball.
a chance to go see. And that's even in the volleyball realm at CRA, I've been to a game or two. I tell you, one of the big thrills of my career came about a month ago when I got to cover my alma mater at Pickett, play at CRA, and see a lot of my high school people, my high school friends, and they watch their kids and cover their kids playing volleyball. And I'm gonna tell you, I was a bit humbled and a bit elderly.
A few years back, you and I did a Pickett football game,
correct.
Pickett and Cave City, and that was the first time you had been back in
forever,
umpteen years.
Yeah, right. And it was Cave City's very first foray into football. That was it was a preseason scrimmage. It was the first time they'd ever taken the field. We've been a part of some history around here, and it's been I'm hoping that it just continues and continues and continues. I just don't want to get off this ride at all.
Well, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad I say back up here, but to me, back is back
right.
where I'm from.
Right.
But yeah, this is your area up here.
This is my nostalgia.
I've been kind of keeping it warm for you till you decided to.
It's a bit toasty. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is actually.
And I'm wearing a jacket.
What have you seen so far in your football travels that you are impressed by, or pleased with, or not so impressed by, not so pleased with?
This this whole conference right here had never been to a lot of the stadiums that I've been to in the last few weeks, and I've been to Highland, and I had been to Highland. Of course, the last time I was at Highland before 2 weeks ago was when I played.
Oh wow!
25 years ago.
Pickett
that was
Highland.
the very
Wow.
last time that I had been on that
Totally
field.
different now, isn't it?
It is. No, actually, it was a lot of the same, because I mean, it's the atmosphere in Highland was the same.
Well, the atmosphere, yeah, but the stadium itself.
The only difference was it had a painted logo on the field. It didn't
Well,
have.
see, they've done some landscaping up there.
They have actually the stands there are a little different.
Right.
They've moved what they've done is they moved the visiting stands into the old visiting stands into the end zone. They've taken the home stands that were there, put them on the visitor side, and they built new stands and a new press box. Basically, that's it.
Yeah, the new press box. I've been in their new press box. I like their new press box.
It's not too bad. I mean, it's other than the plank that they have for a desk that I'm really not a fan of.
Yeah, that's
And that's
you only got so much room to work with.
I agree. But the whole thing, there was and I wrote about this a couple of weeks ago in the press, a column. That was a day when my mother, who had suffered her first she had suffered a heart attack at East Poinsett County while I was on the field.
Wow.
She had to hold herself up by the goalpost, and she stayed for that game.
Stayed for the game?
Stayed for the game.
Wow.
Next week, she ended up going to St. Bernard's for an angioplasty, which 25 years ago, angioplasty was a big deal.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of a in and out, pretty much
routine thing.
She had to stay in the hospital for 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow.
After that. And I remember Highland was our longest road trip that year. And we were in the midst of about a 4 or 5 game losing streak, and we were about ready to go. And after our pep rally at the end of the year, I get into my car, and I see my dad's Suburban headed my way at the senior parking lot at Pickett High School. And I look in there, Mom's in the passenger seat.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and then that was that night, that 25 years ago, that night that all that happened. And we go to Highland, and we get our tails kicked, and everything comes full circle. But yeah, it was a very coming back here. I'm reliving my meager athletic career.
Well, so some of that stuff you might not want to remember.
That's true. Oh yeah, a night at Pocahontas or at Pickett against Pocahontas comes to mind, but that's another story. But this conference in this league last night at Wynne, I saw, and I heard Coach Skelton talking about this just a little bit ago. That team is absolutely for real. They're amazing to me.
They're more than a head and shoulders above anybody else in the 5A East.
Well, I want to see Batesville.
I've never seen them this powerful before, and they're running a totally different offense than their tradition has been.
They are not your daddy's Wynne Yellowjackets. They are not. They're not grounded pound. They're not 3 yards in a cloud of dust. They're none of that. I mean, I remember hearing Don Campbell on Randy Rainwater's radio show some years back, and he would always ask him how many passes he threw.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
And Don Campbell would say,
we didn't throw any passes.
Or he was well. One time he said, "Well, we threw one in the first half and one in the second half. Talk about that's a balanced attack."
Yeah.
And that's how it was.
Or he'd say we threw. He said this one time, I swear. He said we threw one and it was incomplete, so we decided not to throw anymore.
Right. Well, his philosophy was if you throw the ball, you only get 3 results and 2 of them are bad.
Yeah. That's true. It's absolutely true.
And,
the forward pass, the forward pass used to be unheard of.
Oh, yeah.
Before we were born.
Sure.
And even the NFL, they would
even as old as you look, it was before we were born.
It was before they would almost never use. Once or twice a game, they would throw the ball in an NFL game.
Right.
And now, if your quarterback can't throw it 50 yards, you don't even get drafted.
That's right. And if you cannot throw the football, you don't win. If you cannot throw it and catch it, you don't win. And Don Campbell really took any kind of trendy thinking. He did it his way or no way, and he won with that way.
Well, let me ask you this, because you were down on the field last night. You were serving as our sideline reporter. Did you ever make it over to the Wynne sideline last night? So you didn't get to see him, because he still shows up at the games and hangs out on the sideline, even though he's not the head coach.
I don't know that I would recognize him, though.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen him, too. But, yeah, he still shows up at the games. And I'm just wondering if you could ask him right this minute what he thought of the new way of doing things at Wynne, what his response would be.
I think what he would say is that they're winning.
Yeah, whatever wins.
Whatever wins, wins. And that, they had some lean times. For them, it was lean.
Yeah, well, the first year after he left, they were down.
Right.
Yeah.
But as they built up, they're back. They are, and they're back in a big.
They are so back.
They are back in a big way. And this team, I'm hearing things about Camden Fairview. And we all know,
they're ranked right up in there in the top.
They're number 2.
Yeah.
Pulaski Academy's number 1.
Pulaski Academy's lost a couple of games.
They have lost,
still number 1, but they were to out-of-state teams.
California. They went to California.
I know. They flew out there to play a game.
And they are still probably heads and shoulders above everybody else. I would love to see Wynne take on a Camden Fairview or a Pulaski Academy. And I think that's going to happen. I just don't, I think they're going to get a shot at both.
We've seen some good teams on our end this year. We've seen West Memphis.
Right.
We've seen Jonesboro. We've seen Batesville. And I'm telling you right now, if Wynne lined up against any of them, they beat all 3 of them.
I believe you. And, and the thing about, even Camden Fairview went into Whitehall. Whitehall is a good team. That team was just an eyelash away from the state finals last year. They went into Whitehall and beat Whitehall 48-6 last night.
Wow.
Camden Fairview, and I think if you line up Wynne, Camden Fairview, and Pulaski Academy, I think you can throw a hat in there, and either one of them could come out.
Well, and again, that's just the 5A classification. It's
right.
the only one we cover
right.
at yourprimetimesports.com. There's so much other high school football.
Well, that's all it's at this point. That's all it's here.
That's all we have in this county is 5A teams playing football. But there's so much other football going on in the states. Walnut Ridge is. I know they lost last night, but Walnut Ridge
they're
is
not doing too bad at all.
Really well. East Poinsett County ranked right up there in the top in Class AA. There's a lot of good football going on outside of the 5A classification.
Now let's go on the downside a little bit. How about the Earl Bulldogs, who have not played well the last couple of weeks? They lose to Corning last week, and then almost lose to Pickett.
And Earl has been traditionally a powerhouse.
And they were picked to be a powerhouse this year, and I think they have gone. They're a powerhouse in basketball too. I think some of the same guys are playing both sports, and the whole Earl last year had some college recruits.
And they're right down there in the neighborhood with the Wynne Yellowjackets.
Sure.
That's a really prime area for athletes.
And Cross County, is traditionally pretty good. And they're a little down this year.
This year, yeah.
But I'll tell you what, Cross County, Earl, Wynne, Cherry Valley, what's going on? Right, McCrory.
Yeah, McCrory's down in that area. That there's one like a double county area right there that's just all the time, every year, year after year, great football, powerful teams.
But I think Wynne is the one who sets the standard in that area, and I'm telling you, watching them last night, I just can't say enough. You just can't say enough. And Forrest City coming in and doing what they've done this year after such a horrendous season last year. I'm gonna tell you that's this league, this 5A East league with Wynne, Batesville, and Forrest City. there's your top three.
Right.
It's just up to them where they're going to finish. And I think really Batesville and Forrest City play next week, I believe. I believe that's correct.
You know what? I can bring that up right now and tell you one way or the other because I have my handy dandy little grid.
I remember
here.
that. You're the grid man.
The grid man. Thanks
grid
so
man.
much.
David Grid, not Grim, but Grid.
You're right. Forrest City and Batesville play at Batesville Friday night.
That is going to be for second place.
You think so?
That is going to be for second place.
Well, we'll find out. And I tell you what else we're going to do. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, who knows what we're going to talk about? When we it may not even be sports. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but we're going to do it when we come back on yourprimetimesports.com.
You get it?
Welcome back to Double G Sports Talk Saturday on yourprimetimesports.com here at Batten's Donuts and Bakery. Everybody wave. You're on camera right now. Everybody wave. Say hi to the camera. And look at all the people in here. Look at that.
You draw a crowd, sir. You draw a crowd.
No, this ain't got anything to do with me, partner. Nothing to do with me.
They're coming to see me do yoga.
Speaking of yoga, our yoga expert, right there she is on camera. There she is. Wave at the camera. She will be talking to either me or you, one, in the next 15 minutes or so.
She will probably be talking to you, torturing me at the same time.
This is going to be fun.
This is going to be fun.
We're gonna talk yoga very, very shortly here on yourprimetimesports.com. Last night was not your first foray into broadcasting. Obviously we were doing broadcasting together at Henderson, but you have gotten to work with one of the legends of Arkansas sports broadcasting, Dave Woodman.
The highlight.
I'm telling
David,
you right now.
David, I love you. Let's get this straight. I love you. But that was the highlight of my career.
I don't doubt it. I don't blame you. I do not blame you one bit. I would give up body parts to work with Dave Woodman.
And he is, as he's saying, a lot of guys in this business, as you know, are not what they appear to be when they're on the air.
Right.
That guy is as genuine off the air as he is on the air.
He
just
just
wonderful
retired
man.
3 months ago. He signed off basically for the last time from KARK4 in Little Rock.
And I thought it was like the second or third time he'd done that.
Well, what he did was he stopped doing sports and went to news. Then he stopped doing news and went to community reporting.
And he did the morning show. And
so
he was doing
he kind of weaned his way down to his final exit.
Right.
It's been 2-3 months now.
Now, how this happened was, as I was living and working in Benton at the Courier there, the city of Benton had a local access television station.
Right.
And they got Dave Woodman to come and do play-by-play for Benton home games.
Right.
And allowed me to do color for that.
That's amazing.
And it was just,
And you were working for the Courier at the time.
That's correct.
Yeah, the Benton Courier, the newspaper down there in Saline County.
Now it's the Saline Courier now. They've actually changed their mast and are calling themselves the
Saline Courier now.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And so you were the sports guy there. You weren't the sports editor. You were one
No,
of the
I was
staff sports writers.
Yes.
And
the only staff sports writer.
They needed a guy to be Dave's color man. I have no idea why they picked you.
Because I'm.
They called
cool.
and you answered the phone. Whichever sports guy answered the phone first was going to get the gig.
Right.
Just happened to be Bruce.
Well, I actually came in by default because the sports editor was some guys. They just write.
Wait, you talking about Nate Olson?
No. This was Ricky Duke.
Oh, okay. Ricky, I don't know him.
He is a Jonesboro native.
Really?
Went to Baylor. And he's one of those. He's done news, sports all the way across.
And he didn't want to do the TV.
Nah, he didn't want to be on TV.
Okay, so how many people were on the sports staff at the Saline Courier? Or at the
still
Benton Courier at the time.
Just he and I.
Just you. So you got it by default.
I got it by default.
He said no.
Yeah, he said no, and that was it.
You lucky dog. I'm telling you right now, there's not much. There's some things I wouldn't do, but still, to work for to work with Dave Woodman on air
for a whole season.
It was a TV gig. It wasn't radio.
It was a TV gig.
Oh my gosh, for an entire season.
To be able to stand there and look into a camera, sitting beside him like I'm sitting beside you, and him deferring, and it was, the team was terrible.
This was, 2 years ago?
This was 4 years
4 years ago, okay.
4 years ago.
And Benton Panthers were not that great.
They were terrible.
Yeah.
And they have been on a run where they've not been good as of late. There was a lot of turmoil. The coach at the time was Mark Jones, who was the defensive coordinator at Camden at last check. But there was a lot of turmoil going on at the time. In fact, he and I did a game, their last game of the year, that wound up, and we're going to be getting into some juice here now, that got Mark Jones fired.
Really?
Yes. And not necessarily because of wins, because you can't fire coaches in the state of Arkansas for wins and losses.
It's the law for them to be fired for their on-field performance.
Right.
They have to be
fired for cause.
Or reassigned.
He got fired for cause.
You really?
Yes.
Okay, we may not want to know the reason why.
Well, it was... Yeah.
We skip the reason why, but
it's
a lot of times you'll see a coach reassigned. They'll be...
Right.
You're the new PE teacher. That's it.
Now, here's why that they did not do that. Mark Jones at the time was one of the top 5 highest paid coaches in the state. He was making over $90,000 a year. Now, if they would have reassigned him into a teaching position, then the administration at that point in time would have had a mutiny on their hands.
They would have had to give him $90,000 just to teach a class.
That's correct.
Yeah.
They would have had a mutiny on their hands.
Wow. Okay, so he was gone, but he was the coach while you were calling their games.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, just the last time, before there was Paul Eels as the voice of the Razorbacks, for a few years, Dave Woodman was the voice of the Razorbacks. Not very many people know that.
Right, and Dave, he doesn't talk about those things either. You said, and I tried to get him to talk about it for a little bit. He is humble enough that he does not, he will defer to Paul Eels every time. And it's just, he's just that kind of guy. And I cannot say enough about Dave Woodman.
Paul Eels moved to Arkansas in the late 70s from Nashville, Tennessee. Before Paul Eels came to Arkansas, when you thought sportscasting in Arkansas, there was only one name.
That's right, and it was Dave Woodman. It was Dave Woodman. And, he became a staple as an anchor at Channel 4 for the longest, into the 90s. In fact, if you listen and you watch the HBO documentary Bangin' in Little Rock, which came out in the early 90s, a lot of the news voice that you hear in the background is Dave Woodman.
Is Woodman, yeah. Well, does he still got it?
He absolutely has it. He absolutely has it.
I can't.
And he's so humble. I mean, I was not in any way a measure of any greatness in this business, and I'm still not. But he always deferred to me. And he was always humble enough to defer. And he'd always give you tips off the air. He'd say, and kind of, he's very encouraging. I mean, he's a guy that, because let me tell you something. I was intimidated. The first time that I got to sit down, I was intimidated.
I would be too.
And I was like, dang, if I say something stupid or I say something wrong, if I'm not saying it the right way, let me know. He said, no, son, you're a very talented young man. And would just pat you on the back and say, if you, and he would tell you, and I mean, you could probably talk with marbles in your mouth, and he'd say, "Man, you have a future in this business." He's just that kind of guy.
Well, one of these days we're gonna have to go down and do some kind of a interview with him and record it and put it here on your primetimesports.com.
Or even that, if we could get a call in or something from him to be able to sit and talk with him,
because he's
you could do 2 hours just with him by himself.
Half a century of sports in Arkansas.
Oh, it is exactly right, and I want to be able to call one more game with Dave Woodman. And the thing was, they used to let me on the road. He would never go on road games, and he would let me do They would have me do play-by-play on the road.
He may not be opposed to that. If somebody would give him a gig, he's got nothing better to do right now. I guess he just retired.
Well, it depends on where he's living. I don't think he would drive too far.
That's true.
If he could keep it local, I think he would do it at Benton. He'd probably do it at Benton. But I don't think Benton has that TV station anymore.
I don't want to go to Benton.
I would for one night to go sit and hang with Dave.
Well, yeah, that's true.
One night to sit and hang with Dave. Come on, man.
Now, what we're going to do next, we got a half hour left in the show. I have had a great time. We're going to have you come back and sit in on the show more often because, of course, me and you.
2 words, gas money.
Gas. This goofball lives in Kennett. Why would anyone live in Kennett on purpose?
I live there for free.
Okay, well, I guess that's a good enough reason. We're going to take a break. When we come back, there's going to be some yoga going on. We've got Libby. Her name just went out of my head again. I've been saying it all morning. Libby. She'll be over here in a minute to talk about yoga from Nirvana Yoga, and we may even do a little bit of yoga. We've got an open spot out there on the floor.
We're going to do yoga.
You're going to do some
yoga?
We're going to do
yoga.
Bruce is going to help out with that. So Bruce is not going anywhere, but we're going to take a break. It's a 5-minute break, and we'll be back on yourprimetimesports.com. All right, welcome back to yourprimetimesports.com. It's Double G Sports Talk Saturday, our final half hour of the show, and I am live right now with, that's a nice little coffee mug right there. Isn't that pretty? This is Libby Glasco. It's got a witch on there, the Wicked Witch from the Wizard of Oz. You got their mic there, is it?
Right, I do.
Okay, good. This is Libby Glasco from Nirvana Yoga, and we're going to talk about something that I have literally never in my life talked about, and that's yoga.
Cool.
You are one of the instructors there at
I am.
Nirvana, and this is a new thing for Paragould. I don't think there has ever been a yoga business or yoga studio in Paragould before now.
Well, right, Nirvana started in Jonesboro. So there's a studio in downtown Jonesboro. Owner Crystal Taylor has brought Nirvana, to Paragould also, and I believe Nirvana here started sometime in early spring of this year. So the studio's not been here long. We're out on Highway 49, which is right across from the new Greene County Tech School. So there's a bunch of storage buildings out there, and then there's this really pretty A-frame building, and that's where we do
I've seen that building.
Nirvana. Everybody wonders what that building is and what goes on in there, so that's what we are. We're
Now,
the studio.
folks that are from Paragould know Libby already because she has owned Kiss the Cook for a number of years now.
Right.
And but nobody really knows or has any idea that you had anything to do with yoga. How did you get involved with that? How long have you been involved with that?
I started doing yoga kind of as a home practice probably, 7 or 8 years ago, maybe, and just did a lot of things at home, a lot of DVDs, things you can buy, when you're out. And then when I started dating my husband over there, hey,
That guy over there?
who worked at Teleflor, there was a trainer there. His name was Jay, and I started working with Jay about 3 years ago, and he was also a certified yoga instructor. And so he said, why don't you come out and let's start doing some yoga here? And so he and I worked together. So that's really where a lot of my training came about. And Jay was also an instructor at Nirvana in Jonesboro. So a lot of my instruction and really, new yoga, the things that I really learned came, from those 3 years of working with him.
So that's where you basically trained to become a yoga instructor yourself.
Right.
Okay, so there are misconceptions about yoga. People think that you got to be a contortionist to do yoga. That's not true at all, is it?
No, actually, fire has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
No, it's a contortionist.
Okay.
No, wrong thing.
Because I'm funny too.
You're funny too, yeah.
No, you do not have to be a contortionist. You don't have to be able to twist your body in different directions. However, you do learn to become more flexible. And the first thing, that people need to remember is that yoga is not a sport. And I know that this is sports radio.
Right.
And but yoga is not a sport. It's a practice and it's a discipline. And it's basically a series of poses and stretches and moves that really are designed just to create balance in your body, from your head to your feet, and it's really you create that balance through strength and through flexibility. And because it's not a sport, it's not a competition. And that's the great thing about yoga.
Literally, there are no yoga competitions.
No, not real yoga. There aren't competitions.
Right.
Because competition is a discipline for yourself, and it's all about being happy with where you are, being disciplined for your own body and your own mind. And it's also, a lot of people have the misconception that the yoga that we practice is a religion, and of course that is not true.
Gosh, yeah,
I am a Christian through and through, but I do practice, yoga, which is the
you would not believe
itself.
the things that people believe.
Sure.
Yeah. So okay, but you said yoga is not sports. It's not a sport, but it can be sports related because famous athletes, use yoga to limber up their bodies to be able to perform better on the field or on the court or wherever.
Absolutely. And I have a lot of runners in the classes that I teach. I've had some coaches. I've had some athletes. And so they all really understand the value of incorporating yoga, the practice, in with their own, whatever their sport is that they're doing. And they get a lot from it. We have a lot of cheerleaders who come and do yoga. But then we have a lot of folks just like me and you and everyone else who just, they have jobs that either stress them out or keep them going all the time, and they need an hour a day just to take away and do something that completely relaxes and kind of brings them back into condition with their mind and their body. And so that's why it's for anyone. It really is for anyone.
Jobs that stress them out. Clifton, are you watching? Jobs that stress them out. You might need some yoga, Clifton. It's too bad he's not here today, because what we're going to do is we're going to try and get, you're in your street clothes, and there's not that much room in here, but we're going to try and get somewhat of a small demonstration of yoga. Bruce Guthrie has stuck around and is going to be involved in that. Folks, you're not going to want to miss this. This may be, when Bruce gets up there and starts trying to do this stuff, this may be the fun. This is going to go viral, folks. This is going to be the funniest thing ever. So we're going to take a quick break. It's going to be about 2 minutes. And when we come back, who knows what's going to happen on yourprimetimesports.com. All right, welcome back to yourprimetimesports.com. About 15 minutes left in the show, and this is where it gets interesting. Right now, Bruce Guthrie standing by live on the yoga field. You're a sideline reporter, so you know.
Yes, I get it. See,
right.
Now, what we're going to do, and I might regret this, but I have vigorously volunteered to demonstrate.
There's no mic. You're going to regret it.
Oh,
yeah. There's no mic.
I might regret this in the morning, but
yeah.
But take me through a couple of, just be gentle with me, but don't, just show me. Let's show them, for a first-time person who's never done yoga, which is me. I've never done yoga, and there is a connotation or a stereo. I won't say a stereotype that you have to be a certain body type to do this. I am absolutely not the stereotype for yoga. So tell me exactly what.
Well, the good thing is that there's not a stereotype for yoga, and that anyone can do yoga, and men can do yoga. So I think that's one thing that a lot of people need to remember is yoga's not just a girl thing. A lot of men, like we said, use yoga. They use it in their training. A lot of football teams use yoga. So yoga can be a guy thing, and it's not supposed to be painful. Okay. Yoga doesn't hurt.
We'll see about
That's
that.
what I learned. Okay. So he may have to put his microphone down for this first one, okay?
That'll be fine.
Okay. So, here we go. Okay. All right. So, first thing I want you to do is I want you to stand still. Okay. I want you to spread your feet about hip width apart. Your hips aren't that big, so come back in a little bit. Okay. And so, there you go. There's one. Okay. That was downward dog. Okay. The next one we want to do is warrior two.
Okay.
Okay. And warrior two, you want to turn this way. Okay. You're going to spread your feet a little bit further. Hold your arms out here, Bruce. Now spread your feet out about even with your wrist. Okay. Are you ready? Take your right foot, point it out toward the windows. Keep your left foot where it is. And now you're going to start to bend that right knee. Okay, keep your tailbone tucked in. Bend your right knee. And you want to try to get that right knee someday parallel with the floor. Hold your arms up. And then put your shoulders back like you're holding the dime between your shoulder blades. Good job. How'd you look?
Like an Adonis.
Okay. So you want to pull your head up. Pull your shoulders back. Now start to dip in a little bit more. Good job. Come on up. There you go. Look at Bruce. Real men do yoga. You got time for one more? Okay, one more. We're going to do tree pose, okay? So you're going to want to give me your microphone. Okay? Take your, okay? You're going to put all the weight in your right foot. Okay? And you're going to bring your foot up. Now, your foot in balance may be different for different people, okay? Left foot's fine, okay? You can bring it here inside your shin. You never put it on your knee because you don't want to strain your knee. You can bring it up inside your thigh someday.
Nope, that's not going to happen.
Okay? So you can bring it right down here. Okay? Bring it inside your shin. Find your balance. Okay, good job. And then when you come into tree, ultimately you're going to bring your hands to heart center. It will. Someday it happens, though. So you do that, okay? And then someday you come on out, and, oops, I got my boots on.
That's crazy. I'm not going to fall, I promise you.
End up coming out in the tree like this.
That's pretty cool.
But you also, everybody starts at a different level. Sometimes it may be just down here on the floor.
Right.
Okay, so you find out where your balance is first. It's about balance.
I know where
so.
it's not. It's on the tree.
You did good. You did a good job. Good job.
Fun.
Yep.
That's a lot of fun.
So now, just basically anybody could do the stuff that you're talking about.
Anybody can do yoga. You know, we have kids that do yoga. We have men who do yoga. We have lots of women. We have athletes who do yoga. We have people recovering from different types of surgery that do yoga. I had a knee surgery 5 years ago, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago. And yoga was the first thing that kind of brought me back into being able to do all the things that I wanted to do. Being a cook, I stand on my feet all day long.
Sure.
So I thought, I'm never going to be able to, get back
Does
in the
that
groove.
help you? Does the yoga help you, your stamina at work?
Oh,
or?
absolutely, because, women in particular carry most of their stress in their hips. So we stand all day long or we sit all day long, and all of your stress kind of builds up in your hips. We do a lot of hip openers in yoga, and what Bruce was doing, he can probably tell you, he was probably feeling it in his hips and his thighs, and so
he's probably still feeling it right now.
and that's a good thing. But it's just, we have a lot of people who say it's just a great way to become more flexible, open up your hips, be more valuable in all of the things that you're doing. So whether it's your job or your home or you're just whatever sport you're doing, flexibility, strength, it adds to it.
Tell people what they need to do or who they need to call to become involved in Nirvana Yoga.
Okay. I'm going to pull this up so I don't get it wrong, okay?
All right.
Again, Crystal Taylor is the owner of both studios. And if you have any questions about Nirvana, you can give her a call at 897-2777.
Hey, come on, let's put that.
Okay.
You know what I have the ability to do? I can put that up on the screen, believe it or not. Okay, tell me that number one more time.
Technology. Of course, 870-897-2777.
All right, that
And
number
they
is
also
on your screen. Look at
Right.
that.
And they also, because, we are the technology age, there's a website that you can go to. You can Google up Nirvana, Jonesboro. Go to that website. It'll give you both the Jonesboro schedule and the Paragould schedule. We have a lot of great teachers here in Paragould.
So yeah, if you can't do it on the nights that are offered in Paragould, you might be able to do it on a different night that is offered in Jonesboro.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you need to remember that Yoga Nirvana is a hot studio. So on top of what Bruce was just doing, what we were showing,
no air.
You're doing that in a heated room. And so beyond that,
I'm out.
No, it's great. It's great. You sweat. You get rid of a lot of toxins. Your body warms up faster. Your muscles warm up quicker. Everything. It's once you get used to it, it's a really great environment.
Wow.
It really is.
Okay, so that's how they get a hold of you, or
That's how they get a hold of Crystal.
Yep. From Nirvana Yoga. The number is on your screen, 870-897-2777. If you are interested in becoming one with your body and your mind, and because they
you just
I'm
become
totally
a better you.
cornball on
Just
this
become
thing.
a better you. I'll be teaching tomorrow at 3:00. If anyone wants to come out and try it for the first time, I think they'll really like it.
Thanks so much for coming in.
You bet.
We will have to have you come back and put Bruce through the ringer again. That was fun to watch, right there.
Yeah, I think we want to see Clifton go down to the Mack.
Clifton,
too.
oh
I
my
think that'd
gosh,
be
we
fun.
got to get Clifton to do it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think he needs to sweat a little bit.
All right, that's going to do it. Let me drop that off of there. That's going to do it for today's edition of Double G Sports Talk Saturday. Our next broadcast will be Friday night from Nettleton as the Paragould Rams face the Nettleton Raiders. We'll be there live starting. We'll go on the air about 7:15, 7:20, and Bruce may even be back with us that night. You're not covering the Nettleton game? Man. Okay, well, Bruce will be back with us again someday, but we'll have that game for you Friday, and then we'll be right back here Saturday morning. I am Dave Grimm. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.